Proposal to purchase, right?
That's correct. Yep. Take your time.
I found it, but takes time
Oh.
to load.
What's that? You got it?
It takes time with this laptop, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So on these, on the beginning part, this is all your license numbers. I'm going to show you how to get your license number, but Art's going to already know his, and he's going to know his companies. Again, you want to put that in the beginning of your binder, so this way you always have it. So just to give you an example, let me see if I can switch this around. So this is Susie's desk. So even though she has her manual, she has the license numbers of the ones that she needs. So it's always there in front of her because we're always writing deals, and she likes to keep it handy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm going to show you how to find a license number in case they don't have one on there. Do you have access to Art's Bright, his MLS? Okay.
No,
All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to table this. So we're going to be doing the MLS, but I'm going to write down, show you how to get license number. All right. So after you put the license numbers in the first 4 spots, you're going to see the selling agent, the listing agent, Keller Williams license, and also the listing office license.
Okay.
All right. This document is always prepared by the buyer side. So if he's writing an offer for his buyer, this is the first form that needs to go out. All right. So when you're typing this form up, the first spot, which is already auto-filled, that's the listing agent. It's an agent of Keller Williams and wants to propose following proposal to purchase received from, wait a minute, it's an agent from Keller Williams. Okay, so the buyer's full name, how they want it to go into title, has to go in there just like that. So if you're dealing with a guy named Eddie Lang, you might want to ask Art, hey, does he want to put his name as Eddie or is it Edward? Because how you put it in there is how it's going to be on title.
Yeah.
So make sure when he submits an offer to you that this is the way they want their names printed on title. You have to have their mailing address. So most likely when you're writing an offer, their addresses are already in, right? Are already in command. So you're going to have it. Mm-hmm. The reason behind addresses, before we had the internet, when we drew up original contracts of sale, they have to be 6 of them, and they all had to be signed originally. The copies or the originals went to the buyers, they went to the sellers, they went to the listing agent, they went to the selling agent, they went to the title company, and they went to the mortgage company. So that's why there always had to be 6 originals. So before we had the internet, the attorneys used to have to certify it. So that's why we needed the buyer's address. And they just keep it in there. So when you write the offer, you're going to need buyer's name, buyer's address. Mm-hmm. Each block is designated for the address. So the first block is going to be the street address. The second one is going to be if it's an apartment or suite number. Mm-hmm. The third box is for the city.
Mike?
Yeah.
We're not allowed to use this form, just so you know.
What's this?
Tom Duffy told us we're not allowed to use this form.
Oh, you're not allowed to use the form? Why not?
Because it's not approved by the board. It's not approved by the board.
Yeah, I know. This is like, I thought your market center created this. This is crazy.
Go to the proposal. There's a proposal to purchase 2 document.
Okay.
If you search in DocuSign and it says proposal to purchase.
Yeah, I got it.
And
so
you hit
I would send an email out to your MCA to have that one removed.
Yeah, it should be, but you know, it's
Yes,
what it
but I
is.
appreciate the heads up. Thank you.
I think some people are still using it, but my transaction coordinator, or not my, well, the transaction coordinator I did try and use, who I didn't like very much.
Yeah.
She told me this because she saw it. She's like, oh, you
Yeah,
can't.
I wouldn't use it.
Yeah, it's not regulation.
Yeah, cool. All right, so
All right.
do it.
So I don't want to
go-
learn the wrong, learn the wrong form. I'm glad I walked downstairs.
All right, go to the next one where it says proposal to purchase. You're going to see on the left side, it'll have like a little house. And then on the right side, it'll be an R, a shaded R.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So again, these forms are going to auto-populate a lot of stuff for you. It's already going to put the buyer's names on there.
Mm-hmm.
And authorizes Keller Williams. And then you can add Arthur's name in there if you want.
Mm-hmm.
And then it says they're going to buy property situated at, and this is the property. Wait a minute. Give me 1 second. That's weird. Their text box is covering words. All right. So they're buying a property over on whatever it is, 123 Main Street, Philadelphia, New Jersey, PA, Glassboro, New Jersey, and then whatever the zip code is. So the full address is going to go in there.
Mm-hmm.
So the next spot where it says for the sum, that box is going to be where the sales price is.
Okay.
The second box, a buyer agrees to make a payment of $5,000, $2,000, $10,000, whatever the deposit is. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at Art's, like if he sends you a request, he's going to say, Mark and Martha would like to put an offer in 123 Main Street. They're going to offer $400,000 and they're putting down $4,000. So far that information lines up with everything on this proposal to purchase. All right.
Mm-hmm.
The additional payment, if there is one, put it in there. Don't forget, if it's not, put NA. But if you do put an additional deposit, if you look at the box underneath that, it says on or before. You have to let them know when that second deposit is going to come in.
Mm-hmm.
So the most common reasons why a second deposit is maybe they're waiting for a cashed in 401k. They're waiting for their settlement check from their other house, where they just don't have the money right now. And some other source of money is coming in within the next 7 days.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually the next time. A lot of agents they don't like to put down more than $5,000 at once. So maybe they'll do 1,000 and then they'll do 7,000 after the home inspection.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see some crazy stuff. The next box is buyer agrees to pay. This is the difference. This is not the mortgage. This is the difference of the deposit minus the sales price. So if your sales price, if you're offering $400,000 and you're putting down dry mouth today. If you're offering for the property $400,000
Yeah.
and you're putting $4,000 down, what's the difference?
396.
$396. So that amount's going to go in there. Okay.
Okay.
And that basically what it says here is buyer agrees to pay balancing cash, comma, certified check, comma, and or mortgage check at time of settlement. So however they're getting the funds, it's all included in there from cash all the way to mortgage. You just got to put the difference in there.
Oh, okay.
All right. The next section where it says the contract for sale will be subject to obtaining. So this is going to fall under your mortgage clause. You're basically creating a clause to make sure your clients are getting a mortgage. So in that box above it where it says 396, you're going to declare how much of that 396,000 is coming from a mortgage. So whether they're putting 20% down, whether they're putting only 3% down, you're going to refer to your pre-approval. So you say your pre-approval is from Acre Mortgage and they're getting a 20% mortgage on that 400,000. So 20% of 400,000 is $80,000. 80,000 subtracted from 400,000 is 320,000. So 320 is going to go in the amount box. And then you're going to check the box that says conventional.
Mm-hmm.
All right. If you have any questions on this, this is why you get the pre-approval when Art sends over the request to put the offer in. He's also going to submit to you either the contact information or the pre-approval for the mortgage company.
Okay.
Call them. That you are going to be the liaison between the deal and the mortgage company. They're going to be contacting you more than they will Art. They only want to talk to Art is when he has a deal. They want to talk to you when they have to get the deal accepted.
Okay.
So you're just going to confirm with him if you have any questions. A lot of these mortgage companies will not put the interest rate on the pre-approval. You're going to need that in case you have to type up contracts. So when you talk to them, say, hey, this is Mike over at Keller Williams. How you doing, Jeff? Good. What's up? Hey, we're putting that offer in on Maria. Oh, that's awesome. Hey, I just want to confirm that they're still at the 3.125 interest rate, and they're still putting down 20% of the 400,000 that they're offering. Oh, yeah, they're good to go. Okay, perfect. So this way, you know, nothing has changed with their finances and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do the finances change? Sometimes, especially if there's like a 2-week gap. You do, if it's been 2 weeks since they last put an offer in, it's always good to check with the mortgage company and make sure that they don't need anything, because certain times certain documents expire or they need updated documents like bank statements and pay stubs.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're past the point of where we're putting the mortgage in. All right. Do you know the difference between FHA, VA, conventional, other mortgage?
No.
Okay, great. This is perfect. So the first one is FHA. All right.
Yeah.
So banks are in the business of making money. Banks are in the business of giving loans out, but they're really not in the business of servicing loans. So even though you think like Wells Fargo is the biggest mortgage company out there, they're not. There's actually like ABC Mortgage and stuff like that. They're the ones that are holding the mortgages. And they're also known as Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. These guys are one of the biggest loan servicers that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
But these guys, they don't have time to, hey, look at our rates, sell mortgages. That's why they allow banks and other mortgage companies to do mortgages and they buy them back. So before 1978, you could only get a conventional loan. You had to put down 10%. Maybe if you had quite a bit of assets, you could do 5%, but usually it's 20% down. So the government basically came in and said, hey, you got to make homes affordable to everybody. And they're like, okay, we're listening. Well, instead of making everybody put 20% down, at that time it was only 3%. You're gonna do it at 3%, and they started laughing at them. I was like, wait a minute. You want me to give our money and only collect 3%, and then have a chance of them foreclosing? Absolutely not. The government says, no, we're gonna step in. We're gonna back it. It's like, what do you mean you're gonna back it? He's like, if they default, we have what's called mortgage insurance. You're able now to charge that to the client, and if it fails, we're going to insure it. We're going to give you the money. And to top it off, we're going to buy the loan back.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, we can make some money off of this. Oh, yeah. Well, we like FHA now. FHA is good. So they got on board. So now people that were lower income or did not make a lot of money, they now had affordable homes. So that's FHA. VA stands for Veterans, I think administration.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, any veteran that has a DD-214, a DD-214 is an honorable discharge from the military. These guys are able to do 100% financing, and their closing cost gets added into the loan. This is a little benefit for anybody who has served in the armed forces. And this goes from anywhere from someone in the Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, Coast Guard. I guess you can consider that Space Force X that they got up there. I guess that's part of the government. But yeah, VA. So that's for only veterans. And well, you don't need to know that. Conventional is like your most common one. That is like, anywhere from 5 to 20% down. Other mortgage will pertain to two things. Number one, a hard money lender. A hard money lender is, let's say I can't afford to buy a house, but Art's got millions of dollars and he's selling the house. He's just a hard money lender. I can go to him, and instead of paying the normal rate out there, which is like 3%, he's going to charge me 6% because I'm a high risk. He's now being the mortgage company. He can be the mortgage company. Now, let's say Art was looking to buy my house, but he couldn't get financing. Me as the seller, I can do seller financing, because if there's equity in the house, if there's like, if I had my house paid off and he wanted to buy my house for $390,000, I can do a mortgage. I can do seller financing. All right. Any questions on that?
Nope.
All right. Assumption of the existing mortgage. You do not have to worry about anything with that. We don't do that today. And if we do, the mortgage company will walk you through, because there are so many different avenues. We could be here all day putting different stuff in there. So I'm going to leave that off.
Mm-hmm.
The projected settlement date is on or before. If you're ever questionable about a settlement date, always go into the future a little bit more, because if you do on or before September or December 31st, you're good. You won't need an addendum changing that settlement date as long as it's on or before. However, if you go into January, you will need one. And we still have to go over the addendum, so I'll show you that later. So, but basic bottom line is your settlement date will go there. And it's always going to ask you the location. Since you're the buyer, you're either going to determine that you're going to settle at Keller Williams Washington Township office, or you're going to settle at your title company. And that's what you go in that box right there. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see where that goes?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. Next section. The proposal is made on the following terms and conditions. The first one, personal property and fixtures. All right. Art's going to let you know. So the reason why we put this in here is because when you buy a house, you're buying the house. You're not buying the contents.
Yeah.
Now, some of the contents, because it's built into the house, has to stay. Like the kitchen cabinets, they're built in. The chandelier light that's built in there, that has to stay. So what you're going to do is all the other stuff that is not built in, you're going to put in there. So you're going to put in the refrigerator, the washer, dryer. If there's a play set outside, you're going to ask for the play set. Maybe they want the pool table downstairs, want the pool table. So anything that the clients want with the property, and Art's going to let you know that. You're not going to have to call anybody. But also, when we get into Bright, I'm going to show you what the seller is voluntarily leaving. And you're going to see, I'm going to show you that. So I'm writing that down too as well.
Mm-hmm.
Inclusions and exclusions. All right. So if you look directly under that box, you're going to see specifically excluded.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say that chandelier that's in the dining room, they forgot to put it on the MLS that they were taking it. But now they want to tell you up front that, hey, we're taking the chandelier. Here's a picture of the ceiling or the ceiling fan that we're putting in. Are you okay? Good, perfect. So Art's going to let you know is, when you're writing this deal up in the exclusion section, put seller to take dining room chandelier and replace it with a ceiling fan. And you're going to put that in there. Possession and occupancy. This is always the same, except for when you're buying a house that has a tenant, and we'll get into that. So possession and occupancy will be given to the buyer, check one, time of settlement or other. It's always time of settlement, always.
Okay.
Now, let's say they were doing a rent back. Let's say Art wants to put an offer on 123 Main Street. You guys are going to settle on October 31st, but they can't move. Their other settlement date that the house that they're buying is not going to be built until November 30th.
Mm-hmm.
So in that circumstance, you're not going to check time of settlement. You're going to hit other, and you're going to put November 30th.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So even though the settlement date's going to read where it says projected settlement date, October 31st, when it comes to possession, you're going to click other and you're going to put November 30th. This is very rare, but it does happen, but it's always time of settlement. Okay.
Okay.
It's always going to be that. These are the type of inspections that that Art's going to let you know what to check for.
Mm-hmm.
The first one, wood boring insects. That one should always get checked unless Art tells you to waive it. This is your termite inspection. Okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
whenever you see wood boring inspections, well then what your question is, well, wait a minute. If it says wood boring inspections and you're telling me it's a termite, why doesn't it just say termite inspection? Well, because wood boring also includes carpenter bees, powder puff beetles, and stuff like that. Anything that destroys the wood, and that's why they're so vague when it comes to wood destroying insects.
Mm-hmm.
Examination on site wastewater disposal system. This is another term for septic tank. So if this house has a septic tank, you want to check that box. The two boxes over to the right, home inspection. This is your most common. Everybody gets a home inspection when they buy a house. And then the other box for other. So let's say he has on there that he wants a well test or he wants a radon test. You're going to click other. And then you're going to type in radon or well water and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions?
No.
Okay. So the next one down, the following inspections shall be ordered by the seller at the seller's expense. This contract here was drawn up in Gloucester County. So it is mandatory that the seller have the well water checked. So you're always going to check that box.
Okay.
Now, let's say we were in a buyer's market and the sellers were desperate for them to take our offer. They're willing to pay for the home inspection.
Oh, okay.
You're going to hit other, and then you're going to put home inspection that the seller decides to pay it. Now, a lot of agents have not been honoring this, but when you have a veteran, a VA loan, the veteran is not allowed to pay for the termite inspection. So this would be a good spot for that other. So if you did have a vet and you're ordering the inspections, you're going to click other and you're going to put termite inspection.
Okay.
All right, next one, sufficient assets. Buyer represents that that as of the signing of the contract, buyer has or will, as the date of settlement, all necessary cash assessments together with the mortgage proceeds to complete settlement. Should the buyer not have sufficient assets at the time of settlement, buyer will be in breach of contract and seller shall be entitled to any remedies as provided by law. Buyer further represents these three categories. So they basically said here that buyer's going to come to the table with the cash unless he can't get the mortgage. If he can't get the mortgage, but now there's other conditions of where he might be getting the money from. So the first one is this purchase of this property is not contingent upon any other sale of real estate. The reason they put this in here is because they want to make sure that they don't have to sell a house, get the proceeds to buy this house. So I'm saying, nope, no house. I got the money in the bank. I'm renting. I'm living at mom's. I don't have another property that I have to sell. It's not contingent. The second one is, in order to complete settlement, buyer will require the proceeds from the sale of the property located at 123 Main Street, which is currently under contract. A copy of the contract shall be delivered. So what this means is, I want to buy your property, but for me to buy your property, I need to sell my property. And I'm telling you, I got my property under contract. I'm trying to put the settlement dates together. I'm sending you the signed contract that I have under my property. So even though it hasn't sold yet, I have it under contract. And you actually have to submit that with the proposal to purchase and the pre-approval. That makes sense?
Yeah.
All right. And if there is a seller's disclosure, include that as well. So that's going to be 4 things when you write the offer.
Yeah.
Proposal to purchase, your pre-approval. If there is a house contingency sale, that has to be in there, and a signed seller's disclosure. The signed seller's disclosure doesn't have to be in there because when they print up the contracts, it's going to be attached anyway, but it's always good to have.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then the next one. This is the one I hate. In order to complete settlement, buyer will require the proceeds from the sale of the property located at 123 Main Street, which is not currently under contract. So I'm basically saying to you, hey, I want to buy your house. I'm getting a mortgage, but it's contingent upon the property that I haven't even put on the market yet. Or it's contingent upon the property that's been on the market for the last 66 days and I haven't gotten any offers yet. How's that making you feel? A little nervous, right?
Yeah.
All right. There's also another area where you can put any other contingency you want in there. Okay. If you look at paragraph 5 or number 5, and it says other,
Mm-hmm.
this is where your seller's assist goes. Do you know what seller's assist is?
It has to do with the inspections.
It can.
has
It's
to-
basically the fees.
Yeah.
It's so if you're buying a house for say $400,000, but you want 2% back in seller's assist to help you with your closing costs, like your inspections, your
Mhm.
transfer tax, and all that other stuff.
Mhm.
Well, that 2% gets multiplied by a 400,000. It comes out to $8,000. So that $8,000 comes off the seller's gross, and he has to give that back to you. So if
Mhm.
you're going to ever ask for a seller's assist, it goes in that spot right there. This is very important that you understand this because you could actually hurt Arch Deal by forgetting to put that in there. So if this buyer is basically getting pre-approved and he has really no money and he has enough for the 3.5% down, but he doesn't have enough for the closing cost, and you forget to put that in there and they accept his offer. Now he might catch it. Hopefully he catches it before they sign the contracts, but now he's got to go back to that seller after they accepted that deal and say, wait a minute, I forgot to ask for the seller's assist. I'm like, wait a minute, you can't ask for that now. You just accepted an offer.
Yeah.
So make sure that goes in there. All right. Again, when you start using a detail section, this stuff is going to auto-populate. The buyer's real estate company, Art's name, and then after that, and it's authorized representatives working on this transaction. This is always the listing agent. So they're going to represent the seller's agent.
Mhm.
Information supplied is the name of the listing firm. So you don't have to worry about the agent. You could just put the whatever the office is, Berkshire Hathaway, blah,
Mhm.
blah, blah, you know. All right. Then you're going to, oh, I'm sorry. The seller's agent above that's buyer's agent. That's for Art.
Yeah.
Okay. And then underneath where it's the information is supplied by, then you put seller's agent.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. Proposal shall be, as offer is accepted. Okay. This really is not a huge factor, but when you put a date in there, it really doesn't mean anything. So you're basically saying, okay, so if today is the 17th and I write this offer, but I want a response by the 18th, I give it to you. So if you respond to me on the 19th, does this make this deal dead? No. The only time it makes a deal dead is that, hey, I would have to call you and withdraw the offer. Hey, you didn't make it on the 17th. We withdraw it. Okay, great. See you later.
Mm.
I have to withdraw it. The buyer side has to. So just because it goes past that date does not mean it's null and void. You have to enact it. But what they're looking for is, if today is the 17th and I write this and I say, you could take your time, get back to me, but this is good until the 20th. Unless I call you to rescind that offer, I'm basically saying I'm still in the game. I want this property. So the date, it's like a barking dog. They're all bark, no bite, you know?
Yeah.
All right. And then all of Art's information goes in that section. Address of the office, phone numbers, name. I would put in the license numbers for the office and also for Art, only because they're going to need it for the contracts anyway, and they're going to call you. We just put that in there. Now, where it says the signature, there's 2 spots for signatures if there's 2 buyers, but if there's only 1 buyer, you can DocuSign this out to them and they can sign it.
Yeah.
Let's say Art is allowed to sign for them because this is not a contract, it's a proposal to purchase. So in case your client's out of the country or the kid threw the phone in the pool and they're on vacation and they have nowhere to sign, Art can sign for them.
Oh, okay.
All right, go ahead and get out of that form. All right, where are we at? Proposal to purchase. Oh, lovely. All right. I'm briefly going to go over this with you. You do not have to do this. Unless Art trains you on how to do closing costs, you do not have to do this.
Okay.
But when you look at this is what's called a closing cost sheet. If you ever come across a closing cost sheet, this has to go to the title company once it's signed.
Okay.
This is also going to be a requirement in Command. When you download the forms, they're also going to ask you for a closing cost sheet. And now these are just estimates. These are not etched in stone. The only ones that are etched in stone is the ones that are coming from the title company. So he's going to fill this out. The only thing you want to make sure that's on here is number 3 is the commission.
Okay.
The commission is the rate that they're getting. And the box next to it is their conveyancing fee. So if Art charges an extra $295, that's what goes in there.
Okay.
Everything else, you do not have to worry about. Oh, seller's assist, line 21. You have to make sure that that is correct.
Yeah.
And then once Art gets this to you, you send it out for signatures, you put it in DocuSign and blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
All right. All right. What's this form? Superior seller authorization. That sounds like a vendor form. Dream. Oh, no. This is the mortgage payoff. Okay. So Dream Home Abstract, it looks like it's the title company for Keller Williams. Now they do buyer side and seller side conveyancing. So you're always going to be dealing with 2 title companies when you're under contract, but primarily you're going to always deal with the buyer's title company because they have to provide title. But if you're the listing agent, your seller title company is going to order the mortgage payoff. They're going to order the utilities inspection. They're going to order the tax cert. They're going to do some work. So they're going to need to talk to you. In the beginning, when Art does a deal, he should get this signed and filled out. So when you do a listing packet, this is one of the paperwork that you want to put in the listing packet when Art asks you that, hey, I need a new listing. So when he needs a new listing, the common paperwork that you're going to need is the CIS form, which is the Consumer Information Statement form, the listing contract, the seller's disclosure, closing cost sheet, lead-based paint, and this form here, the authorization. Now, we're not ordering the payoff now, but the mortgage company is probably going to call 7 to 10 days before settlement to order the payoff.
Mhm.
So the information that they're going to need is the mortgage company's name, phone number, and account number. And down, if you scroll down, you're going to fill out the seller's name.
Mhm.
Now, when it comes to the date of birth, last 5 digits of the driver's license and the social security number, I really don't like to put that on paper, but we're allowed to. So if your client feels comfortable and they want to put that in there, let them do it and then send it to the title company.
Yeah.
All right. Another thing that you want to fill out, when they say will you, it's actually the seller. Will the seller be attending settlement?
Oh, okay.
They don't have to attend settlement. They can sign a deed package ahead of time.
Mhm.
Is the property your primary residence? This is an important question because it's a tax issue. If it's an investment property, they're subject to a capitalization rate. I can't think of the term. Capital gains tax.
Oh,
They're
okay.
subject to that.
But what means primary residence? Like in what
Okay,
way?
so a primary residence that is the residence that you live in right now. That's considered a primary residence. But let's say you buy a duplex. You got a mortgage on it, but 2 other people live in there. That's not your primary. That's your investment.
Yeah.
But let's say you have a vacation home, whether it's in Wildwood or whether it's up in the Poconos. That's not considered an investment unless you rent it out 100%. If you go down there to enjoy it, it's considered a second home. So there's no capital gains.
Mm.
Well, there is capital gains over a certain amount, but if you're single and you sell it, if your net proceeds are less than 250,000, you're good. But if your net proceeds are higher than 250,000 for a single person, 500,000 for married, then you're subject after that for capital gains. All right. Has the property ever been a primary marital residence? The reason for this is because there's a lot of divorces that go on. So the title company doesn't want any issues. They want to make sure they, clear all the liens, clear all encumbrances. So
Mhm.
let's say John Smith is selling the property and he puts down, yeah, when we got divorced, my ex-wife moved out, blah, blah, blah. Well, I want to see the title company is going to want to see a divorce decree stating that that gentleman has 100% right to sell the house by himself and collect all the money. The decree will say, yes, it's 100% his, or no, it's 50-50. So they're going to need her signature. They're going to need her information so they can get her a check.
Mhm.
Marital status, married, single, divorced. And that's it. Then you send that over.
Yeah.
Any questions on that?
No.
All right, great. Use and occupancy agreement. That's a new one. I love these offices that come up with their own paperwork. Everybody wants to be an attorney.
Yeah. Right.
The seller today is sale. The buyer has purchased property from the seller known as blank. The seller agrees to the seller. I would not get this signed. Yeah, I would not use this form. If they're saying that you have to use this form,
Mhm.
If you ever have to use this form, call me first.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, scratch that one. Okay, the KWW9 form, you don't have to worry about getting this filled out unless the title company needs it.
Mhm.
Yeah. So don't worry about that. This is usually done when a client puts down more than $10,000. Like it was popular back in early 2000 because they could get interest off it. Well, the interest rates are so low right now that they're not even doing these. They're putting the deposits in non-interest bearing accounts. So don't worry about that. The addendum. All right. This is the one I wanted to go over with you. It took a while to get to it, even though we're in alphabetical order. It begins with an A.
I don't see the addendum.
You see it? It says addendum to the regarding repairs. It should be right after. I hope it should be right after the W-9 form. What do you have after the W-9?
I have exclusive buyer agency agreement
No, do you really?
and CISA with optional receipt.
All right, so somehow we got scrambled. Okay, so do me a favor. Look for something that says KW 943 hyphen addendum regarding repairs.
I found it.
Perfect. All right, go ahead and click that. All right.
All right.
This is a form that was created by the Gloucester County Board of Realtors.
Mm-hmm.
That's the fun thing about selling real estate in Jersey. You have like 13 different counties out there, and each single one of these basically think that they have their own city and they can do, they don't have to use the New Jersey Association of Realtors forms.
Okay.
They create their own. So that gives somebody a little bit of power and they'll go to their heads.
Mm-hmm.
So they typed this up and they basically said, it is agreed by the buyers, James Miller and Amber Miller, referred to as buyers, and the sellers, or whatever their names are, Alex and Alexia, referred to as sellers, that the following amendments shall be added to the agreement of sale, to the real estate sales contract on today's date for the real property commonly known as, that's where the address goes in the county of Gloucester, whatever, and the state of New Jersey, and shown on the municipal tax map as lot and block. I already showed you where to get the lot and block number, right, from public records. No worries, I'll put that on there. I got you. Yeah, I think I did show you this when we were doing the agreement of sale. Yeah. But we'll go over it again. I'll show it to you. It's real easy. All right. So here's, after all that mumble jumble, this is the buyers and sellers agree to the following with regard to the repair request. Whatever Art wants goes in here. You're basically just going to copy and paste. You don't have to analyze anything. You don't have to call anybody. So when he does a home inspection report, he's going to look at it and he's going to go over it with his client. Between the meeting of the minds between the buyer and the agent, they're going to come up with a laundry list of stuff, or it's going to be one or two things, or they're just going to ask for a credit. So whatever it is, whether he says, hey, you know what, your heater needs a new blower, it has to be fixed by a licensed HVAC. Make sure Art gives you the reference of where that repair is listed in the home inspection report, because that report is like 34 pages long. You don't have time to go through them, especially if you've never done it before. So when Art sends this over, he's going to say, have sellers fix the blower or get a heating cert, reference page 14, paragraph 4, or item number 3-1. So this way, when you send this report over, you also have to send over all the reports that pertain to the inspections. So what this means is, if you're asking for any type of repair, this addendum and that report have to be sent over to the other agent. Okay. Now, Let's say he's got a laundry list of stuff on there. He's got 23 things. Well, look at the size of that box. You can't put 23 things on there, right? So you're going to type in there, see attached, and you're going to create a Word document. You're going to PDF it, and each one of those will be referenced to somewhere in that home inspection report.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's say all he wants is an $8,000 credit. You're going to put it in here as you're going to put that seller agrees to pay buyer $8,000 to cover the home inspection repairs.
Yeah.
All right. This is very, very important now. When you do something like that, this form cannot go to the mortgage company. Okay. So if you want to write that down, this is important because this will cause Art a lot of discomfort.
Okay.
Because if the mortgage company reads that and they say, wait a minute, the buyer's going to receive $8,000 for repairs. What repairs? What's wrong with the house? I want an inspection. And then it's going to hold him up. But
Yeah.
this addendum will strictly be between the buyers and the sellers. But if there is ever a credit that it's in regards to repairs or any type of treatment, another addendum, a regular blank addendum needs to be typed up, and it has to state seller agrees to give buyer $8,000 in closing cost money for the sale of the property. You do not have to put an explanation why, and you don't have to do that.
Well, I just saw his concession form.
What's that?
Just a seller's concession form then.
Right. But that's before the offer. That's if you're asking for something and you want the seller's assist there. I'm talking in reference to the home inspection report. This is after the offer's been accepted.
Yeah, I just did one recently where we did the home inspection. It called for some things, so we said, listen, we could just give you a seller's concession, and we put it in there.
That's fine then. If you want to use that form for that too, yeah, that's fine. But I would not. You still need to do this form because this is going to protect the
contract
listing
of
agent.
sale.
Yeah, because this way they can't come back and say, hey, look, you never fixed the repair. Well, we gave you $8,000 for it. That's what this form is basically saying, that they're getting the seller's assist. The seller's assist is in reference to the repairs that they're not doing.
Okay,
So they don't want to make sure you're double dipping or anything like that.
thank you.
But yeah, what Art said, besides the blank addendum that I told you, you can also use the seller concession form that you would normally use, like if you were to ask for seller's assist before the offer's even accepted. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. What else can go in here? All your reports. Oh, and unless you're under any time restrictions, do not send this out on the first report you get back. You got to remember, you got a termite, you got a home inspection, you got radon, you got septic, you got well. So make sure all your reports are done, and then you can send this out.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Then you have them sign it and send it. We can
Mhm.
exit out of that. All right. I don't know why your forms are in a different order than mine are, but right next to that addendum, there should be one that says addendum to contract.
Yes.
All right, click that one. Like I said, today is going to be boring. All right. Remember that contract we just saw before?
Yes.
This is the blank one. Same information that you would fill out on the first one, but this one is a blank addendum. This is one where you can put anything you want in there. It could be the buyers and sellers agree to a seller's assist, or let's say you wrote on the contract that his name was Eddie Lang and his real name is Edward. And let's say when Eddie was signing the contracts, he didn't realize it till after they were all signed. He's like, look, I don't want Eddie to go on my title. I want Edward. You actually need to go in here and you basically type, it always starts out the same thing. Buyers and sellers agree. And then you can use a semicolon, a colon, or whatever you want,
Mhm.
that the full name of the buyer is Edward W. Lang, So basically whatever you need to change from the agreement of sale that the buyers and sellers mutually agree to, This is the addendum you're using. It can be used for anything. Okay. All right, go ahead and get out of that one. All right. Residential lease. This is an addendum specifically. You don't have to pull this one up.
Okay.
There's an addendum for a lease. You don't really do too many of them. But if you ever get into a lease transaction, there's a listing, there's a lease application, there's a rental agreement, then they have addendums. I'm not going to focus too much on that. If you ever have a rental lease, just give me a call. I'll walk you through it. Affiliated a business agreement. Do you have that one?
No.
Okay. It'll say KW 934 hyphen affiliated business RESPA disclosure. I don't know why your forms are different than mine.
Yeah, I found it now.
Okay, great. Pull it up. So this is basically protecting Art and Keller Williams.
Okay.
Keller Williams Realty from Washington Township. They're in the business to make money. But just like all Keller Williams, they only need so much money because the rest of it has to go back to the agents. They want to make sure the office is productive, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes offices, they have these big functions. They have recruiting events, Christmas parties, and stuff like that. These events are usually paid by other companies, okay, which is legal. And that's why we have affiliated business agreement. So even though we have the best, we created the best title company in the world, or we have the best mortgage company, bottom line is these people are paying Keller Williams Real Estate to work in our office and solicit the agents. But in no way are they hired by Keller Williams. If it's ABC Mortgage that's in that company, Keller Williams does not own ABC Mortgage. They have an affiliation with them. And that's basically what this states here. So they go into the agency relationship. They go into home warranties if you want one or not. And it looks like they have a relationship with Hardin. I'm not even going to pronounce that. Some insurance company and a couple other things. This is not an important form. If they sign it, they sign it. If they don't sign it, you can write on the form, buyer refused to sign it.
Okay.
Oh, I think we already went over this. Yeah. And on the second page, they disclose all the fees on here.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. You can exit out of that one. The association and utilities information form, you have that?
Yes, found it.
Okay, good. So just like the seller's disclosure, you got to put in the condo association name, the homeowners association name, contact information, and phone number. This is a form that the Keller Williams office came up with to make your life a little easy. So when Art goes on that listing appointment, this form should be included in the packet. Okay. So when he's out there and he gets the listing and he's getting everything signed, he's getting the, and this is for condos and homeowners associations only. No, scratch that. It's for everybody. So let's say he lives in a condo or he lives in a homeowners association. He has to put the name of the company. They have to put the development name. So the name of the company could be Mamco, but he lives in a place called Silver Lake. Puts the address of the property in there and who's the contact person over at Mamco. And then you put the phone number in there. The reason for this is because the buyer's title company has to order a resale package. A resale package is if I'm going into a condo. Are you guys in a condo association or homeowners?
Association.
You're in an association. So one of the agents, one of the title company actually had to call and get your rules and regulations. So during your transaction, did they send you over rules and regulations, condo docs or something like that? See, they were supposed to. And you're supposed to sign off on it. Do you
Oh,
have an association where you live at now?
yes.
Yeah, you're supposed to sign some documents acknowledging that there's rules and regulations and stuff like that. So that agent can get in trouble. But
We received just now, like I guess 1 week ago, a paper that they say we need to ask for to ask them if we want to do some, like, I don't know, constructions in the house or stuffs.
yeah,
But
if you're going to do any renovations, you have to submit a letter to the association for approval. Correct.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, but no, you should have gotten a booklet. It's like an email. It's like anywhere from like 50 to 500 pages. But the most important page is the page when you sign it and says, yes, I have received and read all the paperwork in this document.
Oh,
But yeah, you should have gotten it. So that's what the title company is going to do. They're going to reach out to the company, get the new binder for you, and get that over to you. And sometimes they charge you a capitalization fee for that, like a one-time fee to move in, and that'll get all your passes. Like if there's any passes to the gyms, the pools, your mailbox key, stuff like that.
mm-hmm.
But if it's a minor association, like a homeowners, that might be only $27 a year or $10 a month. There might not be a manual. There might be just a minor, hey, this is what you can do. This is what you can't do.
Mm-hmm.
The real reason for this forum is this is going to help you. Your seller is going to put their electric company, gas company, cable company, water company names and their account numbers. The reason for this is because the title company has to make sure that these are paid off and that the bills are paid at settlement. So they're going to be prorated. So this is going to help them out a little bit.
Okay.
All right, you can exit out of that. Oh, we're almost there. All right. You want to look up broker representation clause. My tongue is so dry today. Dude, I am like stuttering. I can't even think of a funny person that used to stutter. I'm used to reference. Oh my God. I'm recording this too. All right. Getting into the agreement to sell, representation clause, blah, 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 blah. Wait a minute. Real estate participant to sell subject to the amount of contract, receive no training. Oh, this is great. I love this. Seller who have participated in the sale of homes. I would not get this signed.
Okay.
So this is basically saying that your agent's an idiot, that he can't be held liable for anything. So what they're basically saying is like, hey, Art can help you with the house, but if you're going to sue the home inspector, you have to sue the home inspector. You can't sue Art because Art has no knowledge of any structural engineer, any. Don't get this signed. Your client's going to look at you and say, what? No, don't get that signed.
Okay.
The bulk sales law, you don't have to worry about that. That is going to be a form that's probably going to change again if we start doing short sales and stuff like that. So don't worry about getting that signed. The buyer walkthrough form, do you see that?
Let me search it.
It'll say buyer walkthrough acceptance. Again, this is another form for the folder for the office.
Mm-hmm.
So in general, this form is basically for the walkthrough. So whether you're the listing agent or you're the buying agent, the buyer's agent usually goes through the day of settlement or the day before settlement, does a walkthrough. The office basically wants the other agent and their client to sign off saying, hey, everything was good. This form is not legal binding. You do not have to sign this form if they don't want to. But the agency wants to say, hey, you can't come back to us after you sign this form. And that's basically what it is. So it's the same thing that we put in there before: the name, seller's name, where the property is, lot, block number. And it says, I hereby relinquish the sellers, any real estate agents, brokers, owners of any and all parties involved with the sale purchase of the aforementioned property totally harmless from any further responsibilities, with the exception of blah blah blah. There is no way I'm getting my buyer to sign this form. I'm so sorry. I'm just not. It's not happening. If there was something that wasn't disclosed to me, if something comes back, I'm coming after you. So, but you as the listing agent, yeah, you definitely want this signed. You want the other buyer to sign this form. But me, I'm not signing it. All right. Hold on the buyer's affidavit. I'm going to pull that up first. You might not need anything. Information purchase occupancy. Buyers agree to accept this property. Okay, you can go ahead and type this. Type this one in, the buyer's affidavit. Yeah, you're going to see this one quite a few times. Oh. All right. This is going to come in handy when you have a property that that's being sold as is. If you're the listing side, you want this signed. You don't want them coming back to you if this is an as-is deal. Or let's say that the buyer is getting a great deal on Art's property, but the certificate of occupancy came back with 5 things. But the buyer's willing to, hey, I'll take care of it. You want them to sign this. You want them to sign this. So that means that the buyer's going to be responsible for any list of repairs with the certificate of occupancy or anything else. I would also add a page to this, like a PDF page. If there's anything specific that the buyer's accepting on their own, I would declare that. So this way, oh no, we were talking about something else. I was gonna, I was assuming the deck, not the heater. No, the heater was part of the issue. So that's the only change that I would probably make to this document, is to add a document of what they're accepting as is, besides the CO. Commission splits. Why do you have one for commission splits? It's already in the contract. All right, so this don't make sense. In your contract, you have a spot to put in your commissions.
Yeah.
Commission or portion of gross is especially used as percentage of the selling price. I don't know why you would use this form if you're using the agreement of sale. The only thing I can think of is using this form when you don't have an agreement of sale. So if, let's say, Art, one of his neighbors or old neighbors on Harvard, was selling the house to his daughter, that they would still have an agreement of sale. I just can't think of a reason to use this form because it's already in the agreement of sale. So just bypass this. This one you're going to use for all your buyers. It's called the Form 121 Exclusive Buyer Agency Agreement. You want this form filled out. So it's a complicated form, and it's not a complicated form. Once you understand it, it's going to be not complicated. It's going to be easy. See how everything is filled out?
It's loading right now.
Yeah, take your time.
Okay, I see.
All right, so everything's filled out. Buyer's name, realty company, New Jersey. Not line 10 always has to be no, always. If you as the agent say that there is another buyer agency with this client, that means you are now in full disclosure that they're working with another agent and that you might not get your commission, or you might get only a portion of your commission.
Mm-hmm.
So it always has to say no. Art's name goes in there. His name of his realty goes in there, the company. All right. This is important too. He either marks it as buyer agent only or buyer's agent and disclose dual agent when the opportunity arises. I have a conflict of interest with this.
Okay.
So if I represent you as the buyer, I'm your agent, right? I'm your buyer's agent, right? I
Yeah.
got your back, right?
Yeah.
I'm your buyer's agent. But now
Yeah.
you're going to sign a form that basically says, yes, I'm your buyer's agent, but if I get the chance, I can represent the seller too. How do you feel about that? Like, do you got my back 100% or is it 50-50 now? You know, it kind of gives you that question mark. Well, the reason they want that in there is because if I only click buyer's agent, that means if the seller fires their agent and only wants to deal and wants to deal with you, you can't. Or you can, but now I got to come back to you and have you sign a dual agency form. That means I work with the buyer and the seller.
Mm-hmm.
So at least this way they fully disclose, hey, yeah, I do work with the seller. Real estate companies also like that in there is because sometimes the agent might have an affiliation with that seller. So let's say Art is listing a property. He gets fired. He knows a lot about that property. They hire a different agent. He finds you as a buyer. You want to buy that property. Technically, I'm a dual agent. I know information about that property. Now, if he's fully disclosing that to you, that's another story. But I always like to put in, hey, I'm either a buyer's agent or I'm a selling agent. But for me, transaction coordinator training, it's always buyer agency with the right of dual agency. Okay?
Okay.
So you're always going to click buyer agent and disclosed agent if the opportunity arises. And that's also going to go in the same thing for listing contracts. It's going to say seller's agent and disclosed dual agent if the opportunity arises. You as a transaction coordinator are always going to do that. It's Art. He can do whatever he wants after that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The term is always going to be 90 days from when you write the offer. All right. So according to Keller Williams and according to our training, when he goes on a buyer appointment, this form, along with the consumer information statement, goes to the buyer.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's putting a new buyer in, James Miller and Ashley Miller, and you're putting them in command and he's out there showing properties, you're putting the CIS form and the buyer agency form in DocuSign and you're sending that out, because in this way you're building that room up. Okay. This is basically a contract that is, and excuse my language, forcing the buyer to use the agent. So if Art has this contract signed up until that date of expiration, if they go buy another property with somebody else, Art can go after the buyers for their commission.
Mm-hmm.
So even though this is legal in all states, I have different opinions on it. I only send mine out when I do the agreement of sale. But in reference to this training, this should be one of the 2 forms that go out to the buyer the first thing. Okay. And it's always 90 days from when they sign it.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it expires. All right. Broker fee. You have to sit down with Art and discuss this. So how the commission works is usually we list the house for 5 or 6%. 50% of that goes to the buyer's agent. So they're either getting 2.5% or they're getting 3%. So in a normal world, agents are okay with that. But there's some agencies out there that are taking these listings at 4% or less, and they're giving less than 2.5% to these agents. Well, these agents are saying, hey, no, I want more money. And that's where this comes in at. So if you look at line 27, that statement says, in consideration for the services rendered by buyer's agent on behalf of the buyer agrees to pay buyer agent a brokerage fee of, that's a fee. So, and the brokerage fee shall be earned and payable to the buyer's agent for property introduced on expiration. Oh, the same for the commission. Bless you. Bless you. That's enough.
Bless you.
Okay, so now this is different from our form. Okay, so that whole story about the commissions, forget about that. This is his broker fee. So if he's charging a $295 broker fee, that's what goes in there.
Okay.
All right, buyer's agents shall blah blah blah. You don't need to worry about that. Huh? I like your form better than my form. Yeah, so that's the only thing that needs to go in there on line 27. That's his broker. Wait a minute. The broker fee shall be earned and payable at. However, buyer's agent. Yeah, should be paid at settlement. Yeah. Okay. So you can go ahead and exit out of there. And this always should have been the first form, but it always winds up being last. This is the CIS form. This is the most important form, whether you represent a buyer or a seller. And every single time when Art has an open house that you're getting the open house stuff ready for him, I got to put that down too. Open house. He has to have this form. This basically discloses to all the consumers out there how Art is either representing the seller or he's representing the public. So if you look at this form, there's the definition of seller's agent, buyer's agent, and disclosed dual agent.
Yeah.
Over the weekend, I would read that over just so you have an understanding. And you going through real estate school, you should already know this.
Yeah, we did this.
Good. So if you go to the second page and you go to the second column, you got one for sellers or landlords, and then you got one for buyers and tenants. And you're going to determine which one, they go under. So if it's a seller, you're going to have them sign that one. If it's a buyer, you're going to have them sign that one.
Yeah.
All right. That's it on the forms. Any questions?
There are a lot.
All right. All right. So you're good for this weekend. We'll touch base again on Sunday. We'll confirm our time for Monday.
Yeah.
We still have to go over. We're going to go over title report. We're going to go over the MLS. We're going to go over Bright. I want to go over switching documents real quick.
Yeah.
All right. So first, I want to delete all these. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I want to unclutter his room. I think it would be better if I just click all. Here we go. Click all. And where's the ones? Oh, crap. He had ones that were signed. Ugh. Did we take anyone out of here? I guess I put all these in here. Okay. Archive. All right. All right, go into rooms.
Where?
You're still in DocuSign, right?
Yes.
Go up to the top. It'll say dashboard, rooms, inbox, and my documents. You want to hit rooms.
Okay. I'm in.
All right. You're going to go to, do you see one that says James Miller listing?
Yes.
Click that. All right. What we're going to do is, you see where the first one where it says addendum to lead-based paint hazards?
I should go on documents, right?
No. Oh yeah, go in documents. Yeah.
Okay. So first one is the listing agreement.
Okay, you got the listing agreement. Okay, that's fine. Go
Mhm.
ahead and click the circle.
Okay.
All right. You see the menu bar that popped up?
Yeah.
Okay. It says, go to the first one. It says copy.
Yeah.
The reason why the copy is on there and not the move is because this is a Word document. This document can be edited. But if you had a copy of a check, any kind of PDF or a signed document on that menu bar, you would also have the option to move. And I'm going to see if I can find something just to show you. But go ahead and click that copy button. All right. Like it gave you a copy. You don't have permission, right?
Yes.
All right, hold on. I got to fish around for something, and he's got a PDF or something that's signed. Give me 1 second.
Mhm.
All right, perfect. Do you see Derek Wright hyphen buyer? Go back into rooms. Go back into rooms.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, you're in Derek Wright. All right, the second document should be a green box. It should say GSCBR addendum to the agreement signed.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and click the circle.
It's actually the Form 118 contract of sale. But it's PDF too.
Oh, okay. You want that one? Okay, the Sherry where it says 116. Yeah, that's fine. Anything that's green, go ahead and click that.
Okay.
Now, if you go back up to that first box, it says copy, and it also says move. But just hit the one that says copy. Do you see where it says move to?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So when you hit that button, you're going to get the same box as if you hit move as well.
Mm.
So
Okay.
first it's going to say, please select a destination. You always want it to go to a active room. You see that?
Yes.
Okay, so you clicked on the box that says select the destination. Now you have options and you're going to click active rooms.
Okay.
All your active rooms in order is going to pop up. James Miller listing.
Mhm.
Right. Okay. We're going to click James Miller buyer.
Okay.
And now it gives you two options. It gives you a blue box that says copy and cancel. You're not going to do it. I'm going to do it on my end. So you can just hit cancel on your end.
Yeah.
All right. Do you see we're still in the same screen? Well, that form is still there. That's only because we copied it. Now, if we were to hit the move category, it would have moved it. It would have taken it out of that room. You wouldn't be seeing it. All right. So go back into rooms. you're going to hit the one that says James Miller Buyer, and you're going to see the form and documents. Tell me what you don't see.
Yeah. So here I have only the Form 118 contract of sale.
You have that, right?
Yeah.
What's different from the one that we made a copy of?
What's the difference?
No green box, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it actually converted it to a PDF. So they're basically saying they didn't originally sign in this room. They signed in another room, but this is now a PDF. That's it. You transferred it over.
Oh, okay.
All right. So I'm gonna archive that. So this way it's not in his room, but he still has it. Nothing has changed.
Mhm.
All right. That's it for today, unless you have any questions.
For now, I'm good.
Good.
But
I
will
know.
have-
I know he gave you a lot of deals. I saw a lot of deals come over. If you're working on them today or over the weekend, if you have any questions, just reach out to me. You have my cell phone number.
Yeah.
And then on Monday, we're actually going to get into the MLS. That's
Okay.
the multiple listing service. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Talk to you later.
Okay. Thank you.